Okay, this is a tutorial about the final project, which is the Zero to Hero cut. And I've started my own new project, called it Hero Proj 1 Louis, save here, I hit OK. And then once it launches, I will bring in the folders for Zero to Hero. Okay, so I'm going to import the entire folder Zero to Hero. Once I bring that in, it will open up as a folder. Now, I'm going to create additional folders or new bins, and the first one will be audio. Create another one called cuts. And then inside the Zero to Hero, if I double click on that, there are two other bins already, two folders. So I'm going to just drag those and take them out of the Zero to Hero folder. So now there's nothing in the Zero to Hero folder, and I'm going to just rename that and call that graphics. Okay? So now I have graphics, audio, cuts, interviews, and B-roll. Double click on B-roll, and I can see there's a couple of, starting at the top. The first thing, the Zero to Hero movie, actually is the graphic. So I'm dragged that into the graphic bin. Then these, as you can see, these green things, these are audio files. So I bring that into the audio bin. There should be at least 4 of them. And I'm just clicking on them and just literally dragging and dropping into my audio bin. There we go. So now all I have left in the B-roll are pictures. And that's how I like to keep them as thumbnails. I grab by the top there and move it to create my third window. Space this out a little bit better. This is pretty standard organizing, right? So now with the folders here, I like the lower left here to be in list view, so now I can see what's there. So when I click on audio, I see the 4 audio files. The battle lines and discipline are music. There's an announcer that says Great Race, and there's some crowd sounds and all that. The B-roll is already up there. I'll leave that alone. Interviews, there's 4 people. Now, if I were to go to Antron Brown, double-click on him, and if I play him...
One day you could be a hero because you take the Wally home.
Okay, so now I want... It's a little bit noisy.
Next day you could be a zero.
There's a lot of noise in the background because he is in the actual racetrack, in the pit lane. And up top, I want to see the audio files, so I can go, if they don't show up right away, I'm going to go to my window menu and click on Audio Clip Mixer. Okay, and that shows me this. Now I like to be able to, when I hit play, I see all that. So there's, and what I want to check why there are 4 tracks of audio. So I'm going to check each one independently. If I hit the S up here, that's the solo. So I hit play.
One day you could be a hero because you take the Wally home.
That's very clean. I deselect that, click track number 2.
And next day you could be a zero because you got taken out first round or you didn't qualify for a race.
Okay, you may not be able to hear that through my tutorial, but that one's a little bit noisier. Still not bad. Finally, the third one.
So the way you prepare for that.
Okay, that's the noisiest. And number 4. So 3 and 4 are about the same. And I played that back now.
So the way you prepare.
So if I were to mute M, to mute 3 and 4, and just play 1 and 2.
For that, and the way you can overcome those kind of.
So that's pretty good. So basically, I'm going to raise 1 a little bit, bring 2 down a little bit, because that's, my assumption is the 1 is the main microphone that's very close to his mouth. So that's very clean.
Days is that you gotta lean on each other. One day you could be a hero because you take the Wally home, and next day you could be a zero because you got taken out first round or you didn't qualify.
And I want to keep a little bit of the ambience from 2, because it is in a live situation. So once I do that and go back to the Antron Brown, if I were to take now, the assumption I have now is that I don't need 3 and 4. They're just backup sounds. They're probably the camera mic, which was quite a ways from him. You can see the microphone right here, that's why this is probably audio 1. Audio 2 probably is a boom mic over his head somewhere up in here. So therefore, this one's the closest to his mouth, and he's got the body to protect it from the ambient sound behind him. So therefore, it's the cleanest audio. It's almost too clean, actually. So I want a mix of 1 and 2, which is the boom mic, which is still aimed at his mouth, but it grabs a little more room ambience, and therefore I can mix accordingly. So before I edit him down, I want to create a sequence. So I'll just grab any shot. Now, the one thing here, the way these B-roll clips came in, is that I can tell they're kind of inverse order. If you want to sort your bins, you can just click on this little button. It says sort icons, and I'll just go based on name, which will make them alphabetical. And I'll take the beginning one up top, and they're alphabetically labeled. So here's Army Prep. And if I would just drag that down into my timeline, this will create a sequence which will have the setting of this first clip. Now, to know what these clips are, if I hover over the name of the clip, a little pop-up box will show me that it's 960 by 720, aspect ratio is 1.3, and if I go through each of them, 2997 is the frame rate. And for the most part, all of them are the same. In fact, I will do the same thing with Antron Brown. And if it's in list mode, I just right-click on it and go to Properties, and it'll tell me, indeed, it is 960 by 720, 2997 frame rate right in here. So I feel confident that all these are the same size and frame rate, so any shot that comes down will make a correct sequence. Now, if I go back and bring Antron down, as you can see, on the left side of the timeline, this vertical column shows just 4 tracks of audio, and I can place them on the same 4 tracks in the timeline. I don't want to, okay, wait a minute. For some reason, I got 1, 3, 2, 4. So I'm going to rearrange the order so they're more correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to deselect A3 and A4 because those are the 2 noisy tracks I do not need, and I'm going to edit them in. Turning the 3, 4 on the timeline is useful, but it doesn't make any difference as far as what comes across. I actually will leave them on. So if I were now to edit this down to the timeline, it will only take the ones that are highlighted on the left. Okay, so therefore, I only have the tracks of Antron.
It could be a 0 because you got taken out first round, you didn't qualify.
And the audio clip mixer, which shows me the levels,
Qualify for a race.
shows me that the settings I've already preset stays with the clip when I bring it into the timeline, which is useful. So if you want to preset them while you're logging them or listening to them speak, you can do that. So therefore, there it is. Very noisy. Click on the clip mixer, mute 3, 4. I bring 2 down just a little bit, raise 1 just a little bit, and now listen to John Force.
Nothing like being out there on that start line when it's side by side. Yeah, that start line when it's side by side. You know, 2 of you going at it, trying to win.
Okay, if I edit him down after Antron,
Overcome those kind of days is that you got
that start line when it's side by side.
yeah, so the audio settings that I preset with the clip mixer does apply into the timeline, carries it with it. Okay, so now, so I would highly recommend that you're going to need a few more audio tracks than 4 because you're going to have to put music, you got to put ambience. I would keep the dialogue on 1 and 2. I would put any B-roll sound on 3, 4, such as this. I would put the shot in, so I'm going to padlock. Well, we can do, there's 2 ways of doing this. Say this is the sound from the, oops, excuse me. Okay, the sound of the first shot is actually ambience, which is also very loud. I'm going to move that down to 3, 4, and I can just do that. one way is to padlock the picture so it doesn't move the picture. The other way would be that if they were stuck together and there was no padlock on them, I can't just select those and move them. Well, I guess I could. All right. But sometimes I want to unlink them, so clicking on this, I can just select each of these individually. So if I want to do that, I could do that. We just don't do that. Keep them as a stereo pair together, move them together. Okay? So many ways to separate things like that. Okay, so to continue, we need a few more audio tracks. Right now, I only have 4. So to add more audio tracks, put in the music and everything, I have to go up to the sequence menu. And at the bottom of that it says add tracks. So I go add tracks. And what kind of tracks I want to add? I want to add some audio tracks. Let's just do 2 more audio tracks. And just hit OK. It's fairly straightforward. So now, under my audio bin here, I'm going to just grab, say, Battle Lines. Okay. Mark an in. And on my sequence, let's see how far I want to take this. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so now I edited that to A5. And I'm going to double click. Okay, I can see my waveform there. So let's listen to it.
One day you could be a hero.
Okay, so there it is. It's a little bit loud. Okay, so right as he starts to speak, I'm going to move everything up a little bit so we can see things a little bit better. And usually I just use the pen tool, click on it before it, and then right as he starts to speak, bring it down quite a bit.
One day you could be a hero because you take the Wally home, and next day you could be a 0 because you got taken out first round.
Okay, so anyway, I would say try to be consistent. Leave all your dialogue on tracks 1 and 2, ambience on, say, 3 and 4. You might need a few more, 5 and 6, and then you go, and in fact, I'm going to just move this. You need at least 8 tracks, maybe 7 or 8 tracks. So anyway, I leave some room for expansion so that music's always at the very bottom, the dialogue's always at the top, and then everything in between that, your ambience and middle. Okay, so that's pretty much how to set this up. I'm going to stop here with this, and then the next one we'll deal with the text and graphics.